Okay, lesson 39 and 40 actually. The last day of the course. Last week we did the subject of lesson 40, so we don't have much to discuss other than a new pranayama, very interesting pranayama. And of course, because it's the last class, maybe you have questions about anything. Everything we have studied. No questions?
I have a question.
Yes, Thomas?
How to ask it? Humans are unusual that they're upright.
Yeah.
So the chakra system makes a lot of sense in terms of kind of like opening up and developing towards, like raising up energy and so on.
Yeah.
How does that work in other creatures, like quadrupeds, for example?
Animals have the same chakras that we have.
Yeah.
But they are functioning in the same way that we also functioned like 100,000 years ago.
Mm.
So their main function is to survive. So the center of gravity in animals, and actually also still in human beings, is Muladhara chakra. That's why fear is a huge factor in the life of a human being. But the difference with us is that we can take control and rationalize our fear. So animals don't have the power of rationalization, power of thought. Even though human beings possess the power of rationalization, it's still a difficult thing to overcome fear. That's why we create a situation, a condition, circumstances of safety, stability. And based on that understanding, I have domesticated Pada and Bhapi. Just give them a very stable, regular environment. Every day the same routine, no surprises, no shocks. But animals, like human beings, are on a path of evolution, and in 1,000,000 years, a lot can change. Already, we know that, of course, there are primates, the monkeys. They are high on the ladder of evolution compared to other animals. But whales, dolphins, actually crows and ravens are also incredibly smart, clever, capable of solving complex issues. So animals have a potential to develop the consciousness and power of thought as human beings have. It took us also hundreds of thousands of years, millions of years. It appears these days research seems to point in the direction that the human brain grew considerably as a result of us cooking the meat. Yeah, everything is possible. But we remain animals driven by instinct. And yoga is a system with which to advance that evolution within one lifetime pretty significantly. Especially where it comes to becoming conscious of how we function, what we feel, and why we feel it, and how it makes us act and react. Which is something most people are not aware of. And even when we think we are aware, we are lacking a huge depth of insight. And yoga leads to that. The practice of yoga and the study of yoga leads to that.
I have a question.
Yes, Maya?
Is the energy regulating according to gravity or according to our body position? I wonder because when we do the headstand, so how the energy regulates like
The energy, the answer is twofold. Technically, your energy does not rise or descend, compress towards the bottom, depending on your position. Whether you are turned upside down or in an upright position, that does not, it's not that if you are upside down that all your energy goes to the crown chakra, technically. However, if you do a headstand, you directly stimulate the crown chakra. So it is not the fact that you are inverted, upside down, but it's the pressure that draws the energy up. Shoulder stand is an inverted pose, but the stimulation especially is the throat chakra. And when you stimulate the throat chakra, energy goes up to Ajna chakra and the crown chakra. So same there, technically, being inverted doesn't bring the energy up, but the stimulation of the energy brings the energy up. But that energy can be stimulated also in an upright position when you meditate on Ajna chakra. When you do asana correctly by standing still in silence, you stimulate energy to rise up. So whether you are physically upside down or not, that in itself does not cause the energy to rise or to fall. But the stimulation does. Okay. Other questions? Okay. We have come to the end of this course. It will take years for every piece of the puzzle to fall into place. We have learned a lot in a very short time, and it all will slowly but certainly find its way, will be digested, the dots will connect. When I advertise the introduction workshop, which most of you attended, I think, before the start of the course, or some of you, I'm not sure, but I mentioned somewhere in the text of that promotion that if only you attend the introduction workshop, you already know and understand more about yoga than most certified yoga teachers. It's only the introduction workshop. You have done this course. It is called a basic course. But you already probably realize that it's basic because we've laid a very solid foundation. Anything? No. Everything. Any yoga teacher that takes their teaching serious should have a foundation like this. But the sad reality is that most yoga teachers don't, because it's very difficult to find such training and education in yoga. Or I should actually use the word initiation. Initiation into the deep secrets of yoga, truly. You can consider yourself to be an initiated one now. You don't realize it yet, you don't realize the depth of it yet, but you will see from now on, because apparently you are interested in yoga, you will attend other classes and maybe do other courses, even professional ones. Some people will go on and go to India and do some course there. And you will always realize that something is lacking. You will often feel, consciously or subconsciously, that the teachers are missing something, are lacking something. More and more you will realize how superficial yoga has become, also the professional programs. Then you will realize that you have to do it yourself. Because you know more than the teachers of the classes that you will attend from now on. You'll know more about yoga than they do. Not just know, but understand. If you don't teach yoga, rest assured that the 5 months that you sacrificed every Sunday to come here will have a profound impact on the rest of your life. Your consciousness has changed and will change further, deeper. Your sensitivity has increased. And the combination of the two, consciousness and sensitivity, will determine how you do whatever it is that you do in life. You probably already noticed it changes the way in which you engage with people, in a good way, in a positive way. It changes the way how you go about your work, your profession. It changes the way how you deal with your family. You either have a family or you're part of a family. The members of the families that you are part of or that you take care of, without knowing, benefit tremendously from the transformation that you have gone through, that has taken place. And if you are a professional pursuing a career, it will incredibly influence the direction of your career and also expand the limitations of your career. That is yoga. Yoga is not singing Om and doing asana and meditating every day, all day. These are only tools. Important. Without it, the transformation doesn't occur. So important, but it is much more important what happens next. It is much more important how yoga integrates into your life. First very little, but then more and more. You become yoga, yoga becomes you. Because yoga is life. Life is yoga. From the moment that you start living mindfully, from the moment that you start living consciously. And it will not be easy. There is an expression that says, ignorance is bliss. That is implying that it's better not to practice yoga. It's better to stay ignorant so that you can live in bliss. But you know, this expression only applies to people who are ignorant. As long as you are ignorant, you can say ignorance is bliss. But once your ignorance has started to fade away and being replaced by insight, by consciousness, you realize that life has become complicated. Sounds negative, but I don't mean it in a negative way. But you realize that life is not as simple anymore as it seemed to be before. But you also realize that finally things start making sense, including yourself. Yourself starts making sense to you. You start to understand more and more who you are and why you are. And there will be many ups, and there will also be many downs. And I've tried many times to bring the message home that those downs are not necessarily negative, but it depends on how you look at it. It depends on how you deal with it. Based on the philosophy of the Kleshas, we now understand that a human being has a tendency to identify with their misery. And as a result, the misery multiplies. We drown in our pain, in our sorrow, in our misery, our suffering. Ironically, we kind of seem to enjoy that. As yogis, we now know that it puts us in a prison and limits us enormously in how our lives unfolds. If you understand what I'm saying, you look around and you see indeed that most people are in a box, a prison that is built by their condition, their mental, their psychological condition. That is human, that is natural. But if we are able, if we are capable to understand that, next time when we find ourselves in deep misery, we sit down and we say to ourselves, wait a minute, what is going on here? And why? You do not express your emotions with anger or with sadness. Of course you do for a moment, that is only human, but you quickly sit down and try to rationalize, you investigate. What happened that led to this? How did I get in this situation? The answer you often find by looking at the yamas and the niyamas. There is a desire, there is a greed, there is a want, there is behavior that attracts misery from the environment, like aggression or not being truthful. From now on, more and more, you will align with the yamas and the niyamas, whether you like it or not. You become so pure that you cannot tell a lie anymore. You become so pure that you cannot be aggressive anymore. And when you do, the price you pay is very high. When you get upset, end up in a conflict with somebody, and you allow that to happen, it will take you days to recover from that, to be in peace again. In the past, you didn't know this, because life was full of chaos, full of disharmony. But you've tasted disharmony now. You tasted harmony now. And life will be more and more harmonious because everybody wants harmony. You have tasted it and you will try to find it more and more in your daily life, regardless of what you do. As a result of that, it's like a plate, a dinner plate. If you just had a meal and there are all kinds of remainders of food, sauce and gravy and whatever it is that you ate, if there is another speck on it, you don't see it. The condition of most people is a used plate that has not been washed yet. So another disharmony, another speck of dirt is unnoticed. But as a yogi, you become more and more like a dish, a dinner plate that is completely clean, shiny. And if only one little speck ends up on that plate, it stands out like a big smudge, a big piece of dirt. And that is how disharmony will present itself to you, more and more. And when that happens, it will happen, because we are only human, you will realize the importance of avoiding disharmonies in the form of conflicts, in the form of not being truthful, allowing your anger to manifest when you're in a situation of conflict. You think you have a right to fight back? You do. But when you realize that the price that you pay is too high, that the disruption, the disharmony, the suffering that you get as a result, you will naturally choose to try to control it more and more. Not easy, but very grateful. In that way, your life will more and more improve to the point that you can channel your energy, channel your attention towards what you really want in life. And that sounds strange. You think everybody is living like that, everybody's channeling their energy towards what they want. It's not true. On the surface only it looks like that. But in reality, a huge amount of our energy in the form of attention is scattered, is wasted by all those disharmonies, by all those conflicts, by all those emotions that we allow to run havoc, to wreak havoc, thinking that that is life, that is what life is about. So life is your playground. Play, but do it consciously from now on. As a result of that play, you will grow and develop enormously, like never before. You will see. And inevitably, there will be setbacks. Because we don't know everything. And because you don't know everything, sometimes out of ignorance you make a mistake. Yoga's message is that you should not be afraid of making mistakes. Instead of being afraid to make mistakes, try to learn from them. Because mistakes happen out of ignorance, the inherent consequence is that you will learn from it if you dare to open your eyes, if you dare to be honest to yourself about making a mistake. Make mistakes and learn from it. You know, with the social media, you have these posts that try to uplift people. So you have these posts about Edison. Edison invented the light bulb. So the story goes that he tried thousands of times to create a metal that when a current of energy was sent through would light up. But thousands of times that thread would burn up and be destroyed the moment that energy was sent through it. It took thousands of attempts, thousands of failures to eventually succeed and bring light to the world, basically. You have these sports stars, Kobe Bryant or whatever. When you see him play, from a far distance he shoots a basketball into the hoop. And you admire that, you think, wow. But then if you listen to his personal story, he will tell you that he missed that hoop 100,000 times before he became a superstar, before he became famous. The difference between him and everybody else is he never gave up. And that is the message. Don't give up. You're miserable. Try to learn from your misery. You mess up, you fail, try to learn from your failure. It is human that you lose yourself, that you drown yourself in your misery. Also with failure, because of ego involved. So our task is to overcome that ego and not allow ourselves to be drawn in superficial emotions anymore. The emotion is only a signal. Learn from the signal. Simply take it for what it is. Nothing more, nothing less. And move on. Can you do that? I know that you all understand what this is about. That's the easy part. The next step, after today finishing the class, is to go out and put it into practice. That is what Patanjali means when he says the world is your playground. Not only that, he said, the world is your playground that will bring you to enlightenment, that will bring you to soul connection. But only if you start playing consciously. Only if you start paying attention, connecting the dots, based on what you feel, especially when confronted with negative situations, with conflict, with failure, etc. Especially that. Those are your most valuable learning moments. Because of that, when you understand that, we need to stop pursuing the experience of the glorious moments in life. And instead, focus on the daily reality. Have I mentioned the bucket list throughout this course? Yeah? Get rid of it. Enjoy life. Go to the Eiffel Tower or the Himalayas if you want. But don't make a list with hundreds of things that you have to do before you die. Because it's a huge reason for anxiety. Subconsciously, many people live in fear of not being able to fulfill their bucket list. Get rid of it, it's all superficial. Just put one thing on your bucket list. Yoga. That already requires a big bucket. You understand that everything is energy. If you look at the system of yoga, although you haven't done the advanced course yet, I've integrated many things of the advanced course in this course. you see that the system of yoga is designed to make you accustomed with that principle. The principle that actually, when stripped of all its superficialities, in essence, everything is energy. Yoga looks like very complex, complicated, mysterious, but the highest levels of yoga are very simple. It's only about energy. How do you translate that into a human being? Attitude. When you're miserable, try to switch your attitude, change your attitude. That is how you control energy. Pranayama, mudra is all designed eventually to lead you to control your attitude. You are the boss. Try to stay in control. Now, often when we use the word control, people then say, yeah, but it seems to be in contradiction with yoga that we oppress ourselves. Because people think control equals oppression, suppression. But that's not true. In fact, the opposite is true. We don't suppress anything. Suppressing something means denying it. Just not wanting to know the reality. That is not control, that is denial. Control means to be fully aware of what's going on and then to choose to bend that into a direction that of your choosing. You are the boss. You decide what you do with what you feel. And again, not easy. But this is what life is about. This is what yoga is about. This is what life is about. This is what will change your life forever. Not with one big bang, but every day a little bit more. Next year, you look back. Tomorrow you look back, you don't see change. Next year you look back, you realize, indeed, there's been a huge change. 5 years later, 10 years later, you look back and you realize how much you have taken control, how much you have changed as a result of that. Questions? Bobby is like a yoga student. Every day, very small steps forward. Every day, very small changes. Today is not only a big test for her, also for me. And I'm very impressed. I had a contraction here to tie them up, especially for Bobby. And when I decided to let her walk free, I had a leash attached so that if she runs away, I can step on it to catch her. But it's all not necessary, all not needed. So I took away and I took off the leash it's been 1 year, 13 months. So looking back 1 year, huge change. But compared to yesterday, you don't see nothing, you don't see anything. You'll be like that. Tomorrow you look back to today and you see no change. Next week, maybe also you don't, but next year you look back and you realize. Change has taken place, transformation. Okay. Then let's go to the new pranayama. Let's start the recording. Again, this one too. Can you turn it off and turn it on again?